this manna mic. I'm not sure what you own, but this here is on the mark. Like a spiral from a 5-star recruit, we throwing darts, really focused. WD-40 couldn't stop the way we grind it. In the trenches, putting that work in, I relate to all my linemen. This is for the men, the boys do not belong here. Tiptoeing to the top, we doing cone drills. The hottest show in the world, you don't even gotta search. Steady putting in work, you see the sweat up on my shirt. They wasn't aware of us at first, we wasn't on their radar. Now every play that we make, they gon' say, oh, similar to a razor blade, we gon' stay sharp. The news ain't official if it's not on the mark.
What it do is Wednesday, the On Your Mark Show, powered and sponsored by Epic Sports Apparel. Every player compete live from the Fishbowl Radio Network. Man, we had to slide in here a little bit. It's kind of wet and slick. You know, the driving gets crazy this time of year. But we're in the building, man. We 2 Live today. This is my guy. You know what I'm saying? 2 Live in the building. Man, this is one of the best organizations, and I got my guy Craig LeBlanc in the building. You know what I'm saying? That's family, man. We're going to talk about some things that he's doing. But listen, shout out to all my guys that are signing today, man. Signing day, the first official signing day. Kudos to you guys. The hard work's paid off. We're going to talk about that. And listen, next week the transfer portal opens up, and my guys got a big event going on. Of course, Coach Jay is in the building, on the road, Coast to Coast Athletics CEO and Epic Sports Apparel CEO. But we got 2 Live in the building, man. I'm going to have my guy introduce himself, tell him a little bit about, and we got some 2 Live family with him, as well as young 2 Live in the building as well. This is his first interview. We're going to see what he's talking about as well, man. What's up, man? How y'all feeling today?
Man, I'm good. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be here as always, Mark. Love you guys, man. Love what you do. And,
Absolutely.
I'm just thankful to be here. Got my assistant Larissa in the building with
Absolutely.
us. She's part of the 2 Live Culture family. Trying to keep my schedule right, making sure we're making all the right moves that we need to. And then, of course, the young man, 2 Live Dawsey is in the house.
No doubt.
Young route runner, learning how to be a QB and a run and receiver. So
Coming to
let's see. We got you there.
Yeah.
So yeah, he might start running routes here in a little bit. We pull the ball out. He might get a little something, you know.
Get saucy with it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, first of all, you know, for the listeners that hadn't talked to you or seen you before, how did you get into this? Talk about your journey to where you are right now.
Yeah, so I've been a quarterback my whole life. Kind of how it all started. But I was throwing for a lot of the local kids and local pros around the area.
Right.
And it kind of evolved from that. You know, I was kind of just a quarterback that was, you know, helping guys get work. And then I started realizing the power of social media and the ability that we had to, you know, try to get open doors and opportunities for people. So I've been chasing that purpose for the last 4 or 5 years, man, and we've really grown. We're helping high school kids get recruited. We're helping college kids that are, you know, in the portal or trying to get in the portal. We're trying to find them homes, and then we just actually launched our NFL agency, so now we've got opportunities to take care of the pro guys as well. So my vision for it is to have an entire youth to gold jacket program where, you know, kids like him, for instance, in my situation, where I know all the resources he needs, I just put them all together so that throughout his journey he's got everything along the way that he needs. So
Absolutely.
We're trying to build that program, and we've built it, I mean, to the point where, you know, the NFL agency was really the last piece of the puzzle that we were looking for. And I found 2 incredible agents, Evan Scott and Ariel Comer, that have really just kind of hit the ground running, and both are attorneys and barred in the state of Texas and everywhere else. So, you know, there's a lot of opportunities for us to take care of people. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's just about, you know, taking care of the family, making sure the family's good. And I saw too many agents that were taking advantage of guys that I cared about.
Right.
And they weren't doing things for the right reasons.
Right.
They weren't giving them the things that they needed to be successful, both on and off the field. And that bothered me. So on top of that, they were trying to take advantage of me.
Right.
So I was like, okay, yeah, this isn't going to work. So if you're not going to take care of me and you're not going to take care of my people, then I really don't have anything for you.
Right.
So I decided to build my own.
Right.
And we're kind of taking it from the ground up approach where, you know, if we've got a kid that's 6 or 7 years old and we're training them, they go to middle school, we help them get to high school, we help them prep for that, we help them go through high school. Obviously, NIL for high school is on the way, so help them navigate that process. Then help them with their recruiting, get into college, help them through college, help them get ready for the NFL draft, ready for the combine, and then on through their entire pro career.
Absolutely.
And we're trying to build everything around it.
Right.
So.
Well, I think that's the key piece, and we talk about this, and we've kind of been on this run since the end of the regular season. Yep. The proper exposure, how you get it, navigating the process, the recruiting process. I know your phone's blowing up. Coach Jay's phone's blowing up since the end of the season. I've been talking to people almost, my DMs have been full about this whole recruiting process type thing.
Yeah.
How important is that you got to have this? You know, I think in today's age of sports, you have to have this.
Yeah.
You have to have, when I say have this, that supporting cast.
Right.
That village.
Right.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important. You know, they say it takes a village, but, you know, I think everybody knows in this world, you know, it's not just about, you know, the village itself, but it's who you know. And,
right.
And, you know, kind of a caveat to that is it's who knows you.
Right.
So, you know, there are a lot of kids out there that are probably really, really good athletes.
Right.
And people just don't know about them.
Absolutely.
You know, as a matter of fact, there's a kid that we're signing to our agency, our NFL agency. He'll be our actual first signed client to the agency tonight. Kid by the name of Kendall Paul.
Okay.
Went to Bishop Dunn High School.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew about him.
Right.
Went to Texas A&M Commerce. Been there for the last 4 years. I got his tape sent to me by, you know, somebody we both know,
For
Jay
sure.
Hicks.
Yeah, no doubt. Shout out 300.
Hicks hit me and was like, bro, I need you to watch this tape. And I'm like, all right, cool. At the time, I was in Wisconsin getting ready for the Wisconsin-Oregon game with Evan Stewart.
Right.
And so I'm like, all right, cool. I'm driving. I think I was driving to the airport. And I put the tape on, and I was kind of, you know, halfway looking at it, halfway driving, so I wasn't really paying attention. And get to Wisconsin, obviously hit the ground running, so I didn't have a lot of time to watch it or anything like that. And then after the game, we get back to the hotel, and Hicks hits me. Mm-hmm. And now, if anybody knows Hicks goes to bed at like 9 o'clock. So it's like 11:30, and I'm like, Hicks, why are you even awake? And why are you calling me right now?
Right. Because he's up early.
He's up early, and he likes to sleep early.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
I'm like, man, what are you calling me for? He's like, did you watch that tape? And I'm like, you really wanted me to watch this tape, don't you? He's like, bro, you need to watch this tape. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, while we're on the phone, I'm going to go ahead and pop the tape on. So I popped it on, and the first play of the tape, I'm like, oh, okay, this dude's pretty good. Second play, I'm like, wait, who is this?
Right.
Like, immediately, I'm like, okay, this is definitely different. And then 3, 4, play 6, play 7, I get 10 plays deep. I'm like, where is this kid?
Right.
You know? And he's like, oh, man, he's at A&M Commerce. Like,
we
got to get him right.
Right.
Like, damn. I started sending his tape around to some of the NFL scouts I know.
Right.
And a couple other people I know, like corner trainers and stuff like
for
that.
Sure.
And I'm like, man, do y'all see what I see?
Yeah.
And everybody's like, bro, who is this?
Yeah.
Where'd you find him?
Right.
I'm like, man, I don't even, like, Hicks just hit me with him.
For sure.
I go meet the kid, smart, charismatic, big smile, the kind of energy you want around, right? And I'm like thinking about it, and I'm like, man, this kid's he's definitely special.
Right.
So end up finding out his family's close to Clay Mack, so send Clay Mack the tape. Clay Mack calls me and is like, Craig, if this kid's in a D1 uniform, it's a top 10 pick. And I went, I knew it, man. I knew it.
Right.
I knew it.
Right.
Like, this kid's got it.
Right.
So actually, today is actually my signing day.
Right.
Because tonight we signed Kendall Paul to 2 Live Culture, the agency.
Man, that's awesome. But it's a lot of kids that fly under the radar,
Yep.
hidden gems, diamonds in the rough, things like that. Yep. And we talk about these type of things. It's who sees it.
Right.
Who's doing the evaluation? Coach Jay, we talk about this all the time. And when eyes like that get a chance to get out, it's how you make moves for them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Coach Jay, just speak on that a little bit.
Man, listen, Kendall Paul, definitely a great athlete. Also a track guy too, so
Absolutely.
Could run.
Yeah.
Bishop Dunn been putting out some great athletes.
Yep.
If he was a little bit taller, I think that's the only thing that probably knocked him in high school. 5'9", 5'10", if I remember correctly.
Yep.
But going back to what he said, man, it is extremely, extremely important that people truly understand this is a time in college sports we've never seen before. The type of movement, the type of money that's going around, you cannot approach it, without a strategy, without a plan, and without, people that's going to be there to help you navigate through the process and give you the right information and guide you correctly. Otherwise, you're kind of putting yourself in a bind of going through the motions of, why bad things happening to me? Why don't I understand this? Why don't I understand that?
Mm-hmm.
It is a tough process to navigate, especially now because there's so many moving pieces that we're still learning, as a group, the people that are in this thing every single day, things are happening and coming, and we're like, okay, wait, we got to adjust to this again, just so many new pieces that it's extremely important. And most of the time, Mark and Coach, people look at things as, singular. Like, it's just me. It's my process. I'm going through it, versus taking a step back, looking at the whole picture and seeing how this is impacting everyone. For instance, never before have we seen 45 kids get pushed to the portal, at one time during the end of a football season. And then now you have this collective bargaining agreement, where money's going to have to be split in tiers and things like that. That's never happened before. But every player that's in it are looking at it like, what's going to benefit them versus how do I fit into this humongous puzzle with all these pieces moving. So it's a really weird time right now trying to navigate the recruiting process, the transfer portal process, just college sports, especially football right now, because of everything that's going on, Mark.
Absolutely. I think it's paramount that you have to be educated about it. Education starts first, you know what I'm saying? And I think it goes to the parents, and that's the audience that we try to reach first, and then it trickles down to the kids.
Yep.
But I'll be remiss, go ahead and introduce yourself, and tell me a little bit about you and how you got involved with 2 Live as well.
Yeah, my name is Larissa Tate, and I met Craig a few months ago. I was a sales representative and an event manager for this venue where Love and Light, he was having a nonprofit event for one of our guys. And to put it nicely, the event was not going well, and I was not involved. And then I got involved, and we fixed it. And
Right.
Craig said, all right, I got to have you on my team. So I was like, you convinced me.
Right.
But what convinced me was that, so I was a student athlete myself.
I can tell. That's why I asked.
Thank you. I did play college softball. And so hearing Craig's mission and the point of it all and everything that we're talking about right now, it sports saved my life, essentially.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so I was like, how do I continue that? And there's a different seasons of your life, and I'm in the season of giving back.
Right.
And so if I can do that for the kids, and you're so right in that you're a student first. There's a reason why they call you a student athlete.
Absolutely.
You have to learn. And I, as an adult, continue to learn and grow. Craig, as an adult, we should all continue to learn and grow, and especially in an ever evolving industry. And so that's where sports is always so cool to go back and look on. Like, listen, in the 7th grade, a wise man once told me, be where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing, and the right times will come. Like, put in the work, put in the effort, the things will fall in place.
Right.
And it's crazy how it's, in the 7th grade, that was applicable to making sure if I was at practice and on time and I put in the hard work, so long as I was the better one, I would get the spot. Well, now if I show up to work on time and I put in the work, I'll be the one that gets the promotion.
Right.
Or, that's just how it continues to be applicable. And so right now, to any student athletes, be where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Putting in that work, because faith without works is dead.
Right.
So you
That's
got to keep it working.
Right.
Keep it moving.
Right. I mean, and that's something. I mean, if you're not doing something every day to learn or elevate yourself, it's kind of you're stuck in the mud. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's the kind of thing you don't want these athletes to do, is get stuck in the mud and get stuck in a situation that they can't get out of.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And Coach Jay, you talked about how some of the kids are getting pushed into the portal. That's just a fact now, and we're finding that out later on. As it changes, the evolution of college athletics is changing. Yep. And whatever's happening, it starts at the professional level. Whatever's happening at the professional level trickles down to college, and then whatever happens to college, it trickles down to high school. Yep. You know what I'm saying? And college athletics is a professional situation now. And the transfer portal, NIL, has made it a professional situation.
More of a business.
More of a business. And if you don't look at it like that, and I don't care if it's NAIA, D2 or whatever, you have to know what you're getting into. You know what I'm saying? How do you guys stress that?
I think the big thing is, the experience going through the processes, right? So, we've got guys at every level that are experiencing different things. We've got one of the top receivers in the country at Oregon, and seeing what he's going through and what he's been dealing with. And, we got guys at schools like Texas Tech or Oklahoma State that are, the 4th or 5th on the depth chart trying to figure out what's the next move. I got a kid at Kansas that, deserves another year of eligibility after all the things that he's kind of been through. I won't speak to who he is, but, we're trying to get him another year of eligibility and get him in the portal.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of different pieces that are moving, and I think the big thing about it is understanding that God's got a plan. And for us being able to talk to these people and just give them that light of love, the little bit of peace that they need, because they understand that we're taking care of things for them, and that we're trying to make sure that they have everything they need to be successful in their journey, whether, the journey ends now or ends later. We want to make sure that we're giving them everything that they need and everything that they deserve.
Right.
So it's, I've seen it where, kind of like you said, it trickles down. Well, the talent level is trickling down.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at D2 colleges that are getting guys from D1 schools that are extremely talented, and then you're getting JUCO guys that are typically D1 dudes going down to JUCOs. So what's unfortunate about it is that it's affecting the high school recruiting so much.
Absolutely.
It's so much harder for these high school kids to get recruited and get scholarship offers, because they're literally, why would you not want to go get a dude that's already been at a D1 program, that understands what the process is, understands what they need to do, and they've already done it, over a kid that you're going to have to teach how to do all of that.
Absolutely.
So the coaches are looking at it from a different perspective, and unfortunately for like some of the parents, it makes it harder for them to understand, like, well, why is this so difficult?
Right.
And it's hard to explain that, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, now you got to understand that your son, they really have to push.
Yeah.
They've really got to be building a brand.
You got to come into college ready now.
You got to be coming.
Yeah.
You got to be ready.
Ready.
You got to be ready when you get to your sophomore year of high school. You got to
be ready.
You got to be. They're looking at 8th graders. They're looking at 7th and 8th graders. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I was going. Early identification is paramount now, and this is something we talk about all the time, because they're looking at, right now. Okay, once January hits, the recruiting cycle works like this: 2026s or seniors. So 27, 28, 29, and 30. Even 30s are on the market now. As far as getting eyes on these guys early, so that they can identify the skill sets and see how they fit in their program. And you have to know that.
I've got a 29-year-old, 29 year 29 quarterback out of Highland Park, 8th grader, Highland Park Middle School.
Absolutely.
This quarterback is, he's call special. It now. He's going to be he's going to be the top quarterback.
Now they got a special one that's in there now.
Yeah, Buck.
Yes, Buck. But I saw him 5th grade. He was the same thing, so I believe you.
Buck is a dude.
Yes.
I'm kind of helping him with his recruiting as
Absolutely.
well.
Shout out to Buck Randall.
Yeah, Buck.
Yeah,
that's my
guy.
What up, Buck? We got some stuff cooking for Buck.
Yeah, for sure.
So, took him to SMU on a visit and really had a good time there. So, but this next one, Logan, man, he's different. He's different. He's 6'1", 195 pounds as a 14-year-old.
Wow.
And the kid don't miss.
Right.
He can spin it any which way.
Right.
He can do all the things you need him to do. He's strong. He's confident.
Right.
I think the thing that really sets him apart is his mindset. He's extremely mature for his age. Kid wakes up at 5 a.m. to watch film every day. His dad's a coach. He's been around ball his whole life.
Right.
And he's got the mindset. He's got that leadership, the charismatic, the moxie, if you will.
Absolutely.
The stuff you can't teach.
Right.
You can teach skills. You can teach things like that, but you can't teach them how to be a leader.
Well, those are traits that you have to have.
Character traits.
Right. Absolutely. And
He's
to be
a special
great.
One. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The greatest ever have that type of mindset.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of what I see from him. And it didn't take me long. I think the first session we ever trained together, we were in Highland Park, and obviously I live on this Fort Worth side of town. So before I had even gotten home from our first session, he was sending me videos working on all the things that we worked on during that first session in his backyard, throwing into a net.
Right.
So it was kind of like, damn, it's been 30 minutes and you're already in the lab working on what we worked on. That told me everything I needed to know. Like, you're hungry. You're one of those. And at the time, he was going into 7th grade.
Right.
So it's like, you going into 7th grade with a mindset like that, the sky's the limit for that kid.
Right. I mean, that's what you have to have, Coach Jay. We talk about early identification, getting these kids early, education when it comes to being what they need to look like on the field and seeing it, being exposed to that.
Right.
A lot of times kids see it from the older guys, and you always have done that where you bring those younger kids around the Coreys, around the Keelans, around the Colin Simmonses, those guys. They get a chance to see it early.
Yep.
Then you know what it looks like. Everything is visual. Right. You have to have feel, but when you see something in front of you, you know what it looks like. Coach Jay, early identification, speak on that a little bit.
Yes, sir. It's extremely important that parents understand the earlier you can get your kids around greatness, that is doing the things that they aspire to do, that is so important in their maturation process, is so important in their recruiting process, because they need to know what it looks like. They need to understand that, hey, this is what these guys are doing now. If I can duplicate that, put my own spin on it, I might be headed in the right direction. And it's not always about, 6th, 7th grade, trying to get offers. It is just being in a position to where you can create a relationship with these coaches and they can follow your journey, so that when you do have the body frame, when you do have the accolades, they like, okay, I've been watching this kid ball since he was 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
Right.
I know what his process looks like. Let me jump on him. Not everybody's going to get that 7th grade, 8th grade offer. That's for those guys that are just special talent. But that doesn't mean that you can't start building those relationships from you just showing up and working and getting better, putting yourself in that situation. Right. Like you said, it's all about, more who you know than it is what you know. Everything is relationship based now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Things that's going to help you get in the door. It's built on, relationships. Now, I always tell a kid who's thinking about getting in the portal, if you have very little relationships out there, you might want to think twice, unless you're getting pushed out, because now, those relationships are what's going to potentially save you from having to go somewhere else and resetting. There is no guarantee that you jump in the portal because you're unhappy about how something went in one place where you have relationships, and then you go somewhere where you don't have a relationship,
right,
and those things happen, to you again. So just early identification is, just making sure that you're in the right place. And that does not mean that 6th grade, you go to a 7th grade, you go to a high school football camp and try to perform. You go to the middle school football camp if your kid isn't, elite in everything across the board, where you went to a 2 live or you went to a flex zone 1-on-1, and this kid has competed up and dominated against, high school kids. Don't put your kid in a position where they're not looking good at every phase of the game.
Right.
So you baby step them depending on, what they have, and just keep working. But the relationships, the more people can follow you on social media, the earlier you get to varsity, all of that stuff is going to matter. Extremely great and beneficial at that point, Mark.
Man, you touched on it, Coach Jay. You hit it, man, because I was about to say that the social media piece, parents, pay attention. You've got to make sure your kids have social media. Keep it clean. Don't let them put, I keep seeing a lot of these kids acting like they got guns in their waistbands and stuff like that. Stop that, please.
Horrible.
Please
That's
stop
horrible.
doing that, because every single one of these coaches is watching stuff. So if you're trying to build that brand, which you need to start building in middle school, you need to understand that coaches are going to be looking at that and they're going to be paying attention to your character.
Right.
So you've got to build that character.
I've seen all-star pitchers and home run hitters. That's their one job. Like, they're not going to not hit a home run. One tweet got rid of their whole career.
Done.
Right.
So it really is. So, and that was, years ago.
Right.
Not to age myself. But I think that it's so much more important now, because name, image, likeness, you get paid for that.
Absolutely.
So, like, if you don't look at it like a job,
Right.
it's not going to be a job for you.
Well, I mean, you got to look at, in the past, before some of this has become so important, they went back and got guys when they got drafted and full up tweets that he made when he was 14, 15.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They have people that specialize in that because they want to dig this up.
Right.
They go
Right.
back and look at your if you've been arrested, if you've run a stoplight.
Right.
All of that stuff, you got to think about it. More today now that you got to think about your actions.
Well,
Right.
and I think the big thing to understand, parents too, is understand why they're doing it.
Absolutely.
Because if you take and you understand, okay, well, let me take the personal aspect out of it. These schools, these NIL collectives, when you get to the NFL, right, these companies, these businesses are making an investment in these kids.
Absolutely.
Right. So when they're thinking, I'm going to give a Bryce Underwood $10 million. If you don't think that they're going to check Bryce's entire family's background to find out what
Who's
kind of person they're giving this money to, you're crazy.
Right.
They have to look. They have to understand what they're making their investment in.
Right.
It's just like a Mark Cuban or whoever's on Shark Tank, right? Like they're vetting these people before they just give you all this money.
Absolutely.
So they may not come out and tell you that they've checked your background and that they're looking at all these things, but they're asking everybody around you who you are.
Right.
They want to know exactly who you are and what you bring to the table because they want to protect their investment.
Absolutely.
And that's one of those things that parents really have to understand and the kids have to understand. They're not just going to give you this money and you can go act crazy with it.
Right.
Like you've got to be responsible because if you, especially with the contracts coming, with the collective bargaining agreements, all of that stuff is going to change the way athletes are living their lives.
Right.
Because once you're under that contract, they own you.
Right.
So you've got to make sure that you're not doing anything to violate that contract or that money's gone.
And read it.
Read it. Have an attorney read it, please.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. If you can't read, have somebody that can speak that language. That's important before you put your name on a dotted line. Even with signing day, know what you're getting into.
Right.
Is this the right decision?
Right.
Is this the right fit?
Right.
Do I fit into what they want me to do?
Right.
Don't just put on a uniform and look fly. Go ahead, Coach Jay.
And to add to that, what he said was, so perfect. But to add to that, another layer, parents, is not every player under this new agreement is going to get paid the same.
Right.
So months and months we've been talking about leverage.
Yeah. There's tiers.
This is going to show you exactly what we've been saying for months about what leverage, what do you bring to the table?
Yep.
Meaning the off the field stuff, your character. Are you showing up early? Are you staying late? All of those things are now going to go into play of who's going to get top dollar, who's going to get the low-hanging fruit. Right. So all of those things matter, and the earlier you can identify those things in your young men, young women, the better off they're going to be later. That's why you start preparing them in 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, so they understand. Can they interview? Can they stand and talk in front of grown men? Do they know how to articulate themselves? Is their social media clean? All of those things are going to come into play now more than it ever has before because it is a clear-cut path of, we can't pay everybody the same. So now everybody's going to get particular depending on what they're viewed as important. So that's going to be what your leverage is.
Well, and to your point, it's one of those things where you've got to figure out, okay, where is my value? How can I stand out? If you were to take me and another athlete and on the field we're the exact same thing, which one of us is going to stand out? Well, probably the one that can speak well, probably the one that interviews well, probably the one that has a better relationship with coaches, that's articulate, and that carries themselves in a more professional manner.
Right. Because
you got to understand on the field, there are a lot of things that can be equalized, especially as they get deeper and deeper into this. High school, it's kind of a wide frame. You get to college and it starts to narrow a little bit. You can get away with a little bit of natural talent in college, but you really got to be on your game. Right. You get to the pros, that natural talent, it just doesn't exist anymore. Everybody's a top 1% of the 1%. So you've got to find little ways that will make you stand out and not just be another athlete. You've got to be a business. You've got to carry yourself as such. You've got to present yourself and market yourself as such because this game is changing and it's changing fast.
Right.
And one of the tiebreakers could also be your social media.
Yep.
Who has the most followers?
Right.
Who can move people?
Right.
Who can
put butts in seats?
People who have jerseys there.
Who can move the needle? Yeah.
Who can move the needle?
Yeah.
All of those things are going to come into play. And of course, we're just adding those, but we don't know what those decisions are going to be, but they all make sense.
Absolutely, man. Well, listen, man, we got my guy Craig LeBlanc, Two Live organization in the building. One reason I wanted to have him on this week is because the transfer portal's open next week, but he's doing some revolutionary type things. He's having a transfer portal showcase for athletes looking to get showcased. Talk about what you thought about this process, the genesis of this, and tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's just one of those things. I've been chasing God and chasing my purpose. And my purpose is to be an asset, be a resource, and be a light.
Yeah.
Last year I had a couple kids that reached out to me and they were like, Craig, I don't know where to go. I got to get out of here. I got to get somewhere else. And it was a lot. It was a lot of them.
Right.
And then I had a dad reach out to me. There was a kid that was at Jackson State, and he was like, hey, can you get some receivers together and bring some cameras? I want to get, kind of like put together a little piece of tape for my son and send it to some schools. And so we did that, partnered with Law Nation on that. He kind of commentated with me as we did this workout for Grayson. And it kind of struck me like, okay, wait a minute. Like, why doesn't this happen?
Right.
This portal thing is kind of new. But there were so many kids that were in the portal that ended up just not having a home.
Right.
And that didn't feel right for me.
Yeah.
So I kind of took the idea that we had, that we kind of came up with last year, and I just wanted to scale that. I wanted to add more because at the end of the day, our whole entire mission is open doors and opportunities.
Absolutely.
If we can try and provide somebody with an open door or an opportunity and use our network to get somebody somewhere or to help a school find a kid that they didn't know existed,
right,
that's what we're trying to do. And at the end of the day, I don't care if there's 4 kids there, 5 kids there, 12 schools, 100 schools. I want one person to get a spot.
Right.
If we can get one person to get a spot, we can get one kid an opportunity to continue playing the game that they love, it's a win for us.
Right. Right. Now, when exactly is this going on?
December 11th.
Okay.
It'll be 6 o'clock, 6 to 9 p.m.
Yes, sir.
6 to 9 p.m. Sam Houston High School in Arlington. Shout out to my dog Malik.
Absolutely.
Taking care of us there at League 2 Live. And, man, we just, at the end of the day, we're trying to get as many coaches and schools as possible to come check it out. We're going to live stream the event, too.
Okay.
So for coaches that cannot be in attendance,
right.
Shout out to either you can email Larissa at 2liveculture.com or myself, Craig at 2liveculture.com. And we'll make sure to send you all the links and get all that information out because we just want to put these kids in homes. Man.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that's dope. And, immediately when I saw this, when I reached out to you, and we kind of got this going a couple weeks ago, because I think it's the perfect timing. I don't think it's going on anywhere. And like you said, if it's 10 kids, if it's 2 kids, somebody's going to benefit from this. Yep. Because I think that's the thing that you want to do is to help somebody. You want to be that arm to put people together. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Yep. To extend that. You know what I mean? And I think that's a big deal. And before we go, we'll shout that out again. But I want to get a question. I had a question as I was rolling up today, both of you guys, since we're at the early signing day. In your opinion, Coach Jay, I'll start with you. What are the benefits of the early signing day, and what are some of the things that maybe you don't like about the early signing day?
Well, I think the major benefit, man, is one, peace of mind, knowing that, I have a clear vision and a clear path to where I'm going. I don't have to continue to stress over what school is recruiting me, where I'm going to go, where I'm going to end up. Now it's time to start focusing on what I have to do to, basically get on the playing field and get prepared for the next level. I think that's extremely important. And the earlier I can do that, the better, because it's a stressful process, especially if you got offered, freshman, sophomore year. It's just a sigh of relief that, hey, I'm going where I want to go. And for me, that there is no drawbacks to it, because if everything fits, the money's right, it's the right school. And again, a lot of times people will say, we want bigger and better. This late in the game is probably not happening. You're risking losing it all. We talk about this all the time. So if what you have, you've chosen from what you have, and everybody says all I need is one opportunity. So if you get one opportunity, take that one, make the best of it, sign, commit, move on, live to live again, because there are a lot of guys that'll graduate this year that'll never play football again because they didn't have the opportunity to get recruited. So I think that's important. So I don't see any drawbacks to early signing other than, a kid not having offers on the table or, walk-ons, which don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's out of there.
I can't afford to, I can't afford to sign because I don't know where to get the money from and, things like that. That's the only drawback to, not signing early, because you want to wait to make sure that you can maximize whatever dollar amount you can get in those situations. And also, too, one last thing, Mark, seniors, especially the seniors that have reached out to me, if you're still wondering and still, putting yourself on hold about getting something bigger and better, if you're not there December 11th, you're doing yourself a disservice, period, point blank, because you want to put yourself in a position to be seen by other schools, whether it's in person, live stream, having that film. Go put your best foot forward if you're serious about getting recruited or getting something bigger. And again, I will say one last time, you're risking losing everything. But if you're a senior that does not have offers, if you're not there December 11th and you could be there, you don't want to play college football, period, point blank.
Absolutely. Thoughts on the early signing day?
No, I agree with him. Everything he said was spot on. You know, I think there's peace of mind that comes from, you know, knowing and understanding and just getting it done.
Right.
You know, and,
Right.
and the more time you have to prepare, the better.
Right.
You know, I think that it's been a blessing to have an early signing day and giving kids opportunities, you know, to just get in and get done and start moving forward.
Right.
You know, I think that, you know, with a lack of clarity and a lot of confusion, you know, especially with playoffs coming on and stuff like that. You know, it just every little bit of peace helps.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so I love it. I think it's a
Right.
brilliant idea. Obviously, you know, it is what it is. But
Thoughts
you
on
know.
early signing day?
I agree with both of them. You know, the thing that keeps bringing me back to it is fail to prepare to fail.
Right.
So if every single thing that you can do to prepare yourself in an unknown future, I don't see why you shouldn't. You know,
sure.
so you preparing in any way, shape, or form, I'm always on board for that.
Well, so now softball's a little different. They've always kind of had an early signing day.
Right.
And then
Yes.
they're limited on spots. I think the NCAA's changes baseball and softball limits. They're raising them up. Thank God, because like 11 and a half for D1 baseball is terrible.
Crazy.
Like they got
Absolutely
35
crazy.
guys that don't have, and they have to split those up.
Yep.
And you know, most of the money's going to the arms.
Yep.
So I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's wild.
kudos to them really raising that up because I think that helps.
Yeah.
I agree.
It definitely helps. It provides more opportunities.
Absolutely.
And, you know, that's what we need. And I know Coach Jay said it too, but, you know, one opportunity is you got to be ready. That's the thing. You got to be ready for the opportunity. When the door opens, you got to be ready to blow it down.
Right.
You can't just, you know, creep through it. Like,
Right.
you got to bust your way in.
Right.
So,
Well, when you say opportunity, this is not Power 4 only.
right.
Any opportunity that you have, whether it's NAIA, whether it's D2, D3, it's only 7%, and that number's going down. You know, that you get a chance to think about all of the kids that's playing high school football and think about the kids, you know, the colleges around. It dwindles down. That window dwindles as you get up to the next level. And I think that you have to take the opportunity to get. Now, it's the right fit, right scheme, and all of those things. If they got a plan for you, I think you got to do it. You know what I mean?
I agree. Shouts out to NAIA schools. I went to one.
Absolutely.
And it paid for my college degrees.
Right.
And paying for my life essentially
Absolutely.
now. So
Right.
I've always said, you know, putting yourself in the room, you know, Coach Jay talked about it a little bit, surrounding yourself with greatness.
Right.
You know, rising tides raises all ships.
Absolutely.
That's what we've been saying.
Right.
And so there's such a small percentage that makes it to the top 1% of the 1% of
Right.
the NFL.
Right.
But they got agents.
Right.
They got nutritionists.
Right.
They got trainers.
Right.
So those are things that if you play, you probably are going to want to get into that as well.
Right.
Those are paying jobs and you're still in the same industry. So if you are a stats person like myself, I mean, look at stats of the surrounding people.
Right.
Don't you want to be, I want to be surrounded by
Absolutely.
it, obviously.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
just, I think that even shooting for the moon, you're going to land amongst the stars. I could call me DJ Khaled. I can say all these cliches all
Right.
day long.
Right.
But they're so true. That's
Absolutely.
the thing. So again, you got to be prepared. So I'm with it.
Well, it's the same thing. Don't talk about it. Don't be about it. You know what I mean? If you're not shooting for the stars, where you shooting?
Where you going?
But you know, I talk about this all the time, even in the personal life. If we're not speaking the same language, then I'm probably not going to be talking to you.
Right.
You know,
Alignment.
birds of
Gotta
a
be
feather
aligned.
flock together. All of those things are true, and you know, surrounding yourself with the right people to pick up the phone and be able to get that is what 2 Live is all about. Is what Epic's all about. Is what On the Mark is all about. And when you get those things, you know, you got to reach out. You know what I'm saying? And that's the type of things we do here at the On Your Mark Show. Every week we're here to educate and elevate you in some form of fashion, and that's what we want to do. Now, before we get out of here, give us those dates and times of where they can find you.
December 11th, 6 to 9 p.m. will be the Transfer Portal Showcase, first annual.
Absolutely.
We plan on doing this every year, bigger and better every year as we
And
go.
December the 11th, what day?
That is Wednesday.
Okay.
1 week from today, as a matter of fact.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
1 week
In
from
the
today. evening time in Arlington, Texas.
Okay.
So we wanted to kind of centralize it as much as we could and try and get everybody where they need to go. So we will be live streaming it. Like I said, we've got live stream. We'll have cameras there to take shots of everybody. We'll have testing and all that stuff. So www.2liveculture.com is where you can find out more information. Go to our training page, and you can sign up on the link there for the Transfer Portal Showcase. Also on Instagram, TikTok, X, whatever else. At 2LiveCraig. I've got posts about it as well. There's a QR code on the post, so you can go on there, hit the QR code, sign up there. Right. And we're only taking so many people. Right. So once it's full, it's full. Yeah. We're trying to make sure we can get as many people as possible taken care of, but we don't want to oversaturate it to where guys aren't really able to keep up with what's going on.
Right. So. And able to get reps and do things like that.
Got to get them reps.
Well, so how's the response been so far?
It's been good. It's been really good. I've got colleges all over the country.
Okay.
SMU I know is going to be sending a representative. Colorado is going to be sending a representative. We got some JUCOs. We got some D2 schools. UConn, all the way out in UConn. I got we got some people coming and locking in from there. So it's going to be good. A lot of opportunities, man. Right. And like I said, if we just get one, it's a successful venture for me. So we just want to make sure we get somebody to a home.
Man, absolutely. Listen, always appreciate you coming through. Listen, anytime I've reached out to him, he's come. So, it's just aligning with his schedule, man. Great to meet you. I'm sure we'll be seeing each other soon.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, Coach Jay, appreciate you tapping in. Again, on your Mark
Yes,
Show.
Yes, sir.
Powers.
I'll be in the building Wednesday the 11th.
Man,
yes,
say
sir.
less.
Yes,
say
sir.
less, man. Listen, on your Mark Show each week right here from the Fishbowl Radio Network, here to educate and elevate you. It's powered and sponsored by Epic Sports Apparel. And listen, you'll catch me on the field this week. It's playoff time, round 4, man. I might be going to Nacogdoches, just to say that, you know what I'm saying, and the H. But, hey, shout out to everybody tapping in today, man. My guy J-Mac, Carlos Cruz out west, Nelly Bates, you know what I'm saying. My guy Ben Spice in Ohio, Kenneth Sweeney. Appreciate all y'all tapping in, man. Share this, like this. My guy R.L. Martin down in S.A. We out.
Hey, this Manna Mike. I'm not sure what you own, but this here is on the mark. Like a spiral from a 5-star recruit, we throwing darts, really focused. WD-40 couldn't stop the way we grinded. In the trenches, putting that work in, I relate to all my linemen. This is for the men, the boys do not belong here. Tiptoeing to the top, we doing cone drills. The hottest show in the world, you don't even gotta search. Steady putting in work, you see the sweat up on my shirt. They wasn't aware of us at first, we wasn't on their radar. Now every play that we make, they gon' say, similar to a razor blade, we gon' stay sharp. The news ain't official if it's not on the mark.